Hello everyone, live today. Hopefully it's working right. I had a few different techie things, so hopefully you can hear me and see me all okay. I've got the camera over here for YouTube, the camera over here for Instagram, so I'll be working between the two different ones. As ever, I'm here for half an hour and I'll try and answer as many of your money questions as I possibly can in this time. Whack them in the comments and I will try and do as many of them as I can. The earlier you ask, the more likely it is that I'm going to be able to answer your question. And some have already come through here straight away over on YouTube. So let's jump into those. And this is from Sid. And Sid says that, hi Andy, I recently completed my current account switch to Santander and have two active direct debits have also been transferred, but one of them has been cancelled and linked to my Santander one. Any issues? I'm not quite sure what that means. If they've cancelled your direct debit, the people who had it, and sometimes that happens with charities, that is something that does sometimes happen, then I would ensure that the new one is set up in that time. You've got 60 days with the Santander 123 Lite switchover. You've got 60 days to do all those things you need to do. Pay the money in, use the app, have the direct debits go over. So if one hasn't gone through, I'm not quite sure what you mean by it's been linked to my Santander one, but I've just set up another one. You've got time to do it. I've got a whole video and article taking you through some of those best ways to set up quick and easy direct debits. So check that one out. But just to be sure, to make sure two direct debits, that is one of the requirements from Santander. Let's see, always whizzes through here quickly on Instagram. So I want to make sure I've not missed anyone. Hello to all of you guys. Lovely to see you here. Right, Talvinda says, hi Andy. I wanted to know which is the best savings current account and which student current account I should go for out of HSBC and Nationwide, as they both have £100 freebies. So savings account, I say it's an easy one. It's easy because I'm going to say go to becleverwithyourcash.com/savings. That's why I on a daily basis update the best buy accounts out there right now. However, there are lots of things you need to think about when choosing a savings account. Do you want easy access? So you need to be able to get that money at some point. Maybe you're saving for something specifically, or maybe you are just worried about an emergency, you can get that cash. Okay, so in that case, easy access is what you're after, or maybe one of the higher paying current accounts. Well, as you're a student, that complicates things a little bit, but for everyone else, that might be where you want to go. If you're not going to need the money at all, you might want to lock it away, fix it for 6 months or a year or even longer. However, with interest rates on the rise and likely to go up even more in a week and a half now, then that might actually mean you lose out in the long term. So those things that you have to considerations you have to take into account and work out what's best for you. But in terms of the highest paying one, they're on becleveryourcash.com/savings. In terms of the student accounts, you're right. HSBC and Nationwide both give £100, which is great. They are the highest cash payments. Money shouldn't always be the thing that leads you. Actually, what's more important is to look at the overdrafts in consideration, in collaboration, at the same time, whatever the word is, right? With the freebies, overdraft and freebies. What ones are going to work best for you? It may be that you want to go for a different account with a different freebie, less money or something like a rail card, because the overdraft is better suited to what your needs will be. I've got a whole video explaining this and an article, so check those ones out to help you decide between them. As it happens, if you are set between HSBC and Nationwide, I personally would go with Nationwide because they are a building society, therefore they are more ethical. And not only do you get £100 when you open up a student account, but £10 goes to shelter. So they get my priority, I would say, over going with HSBC. Okay, right. Over on Instagram, we have Rascal. Andy, for bank transfers, is it the same for Bank of Scotland and Halifax? For example, if you've got the reward for one, would you get it with the other? Thanks for your work. Bank transfers. For example, if you've got the reward for one, would you get it with the other? I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Rascal. Can you come back to me with a bit more detail what you mean by transfers in connection to rewards? And I'll try and answer that one for you. So as you can tell, I've got a slightly different setup, and the images I'm putting up here on YouTube aren't necessarily disappearing after I've asked the question. So I have to keep on that one a little bit more. Sam Bam says, Stoozing. Hi Andy, is Stoozing a viable option for earning cashback interest on spending when no longer eligible for an Amex Barclays welcome bonus, or are you planning a video on it? I am planning a video on it. I will do this video very, very soon. Obviously, things have been thrown up in the water a lot right now with the energy support scheme announcements and cap announcements over the last couple of weeks, and the interest rate announcement coming very soon, and obviously sort of uncertainty around what's going on with obviously the Queen passing away in terms of producing content, that delay in Parliament and all this kind of stuff. But I am going to do a video on it. But the very, very quick headline for those of you who don't know what stoozing is, this is where you pay essentially on a 0% purchase credit card, and the money you would have spent you put into savings. The basic rule of thumb here will be, can you get a higher rate in a savings account than you can on a cashback credit card? So potentially right now, the answer will be yes, do something to look into, but I will do a detailed analysis on that by the end of this month, hopefully. A few things scheduled in, but that's what I'll be aiming to do. Right, so Rascal says, bank around transfers, 125 ones when you move the account from one to other. So bank switching, I think you're talking about here. Sorry, Rascal. All right, right. So if you switch money, can you... Sorry, guys, I'm trying to understand this question so I do it quite right. Okay, right. Okay, I think what you're saying here is if you have done a bank switch with one bank, can you then get a bank switching deal from another bank afterwards? And most of the time, that's fine, regardless of which bank you're going for. You do, however, have to look at the terms and conditions. That's anything I talk about. Anytime anyone talks about anything, right? Don't just take what they say as gospel. Just check the terms and conditions. Things can change after a video is released or an article is written, all that kind of stuff. It might have been right at the time, but things can change, or people might not understand things. They might give you the wrong information. However, fundamentally, there are a handful of banks where you will not get the switching offer if you've already had the switching deal from their sister bank. HSBC and First Direct are really good examples of that. NatWest and RBS are also very good examples of that. But not Lloyds and Halifax. They don't distinguish. So that's something to keep an eye on there. I think that's what you're after, the angle you're after there. Tavinder says, is the Virgin Money still the best current account? It depends what sort of context you're looking here. What do you mean by the best current account? In some areas, it is the best current account for interest that you get as a package, in a simple package. So there's 2.02% interest on the first £1,000, or 1.71% on the linked savers account, 1.75 on the Easy Access Cash ISA, which is only available by the current account. If you want to keep things with one bank, that's very simple. However, you can right now, excuse me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to have to speak. You can get higher interest in the current account. That is with Nationwide, as long as you've not had the Flex Direct account before. You can get higher easy access savings just in separate accounts. And the other features you get, which I think are better. So I think that Starling is a much better app. Chase has 1% cashback, which makes it a lot better than the others as well for spending. But as a bank switching deal right now, it's pretty healthy. So it's a good account. I wouldn't have it to my main account. I'll have it as an additional account. As I think I've said to you guys quite a lot before, you don't have to stick to one current account. You can have multiple current accounts. And why not you take advantage of the different switching deals, different rewards, different interest rates you can get on those multiple accounts and have the best account for your banking. That they say banking can be a completely different one. Tracy's Mobile says, evening Andy and all. Sad news, are the Queen. What do you think will be the first financial impact of her death to the average person? Oh, blimey. Well, that's a good question. I mean, in the very, very short term, we have the fact that Parliament is obviously not operating normally. So that might cause problems in terms of how do we deal with this cost of living crisis? How do the energy proposals that came out on Thursday afternoon, shortly before the Queen's death was announced, that's still a lot to get through in a very short space of time. The government say they are going to do this. They say that they will make sure there is session in Parliament to actually get it through. But that could be really, really tight. And they say as well that the whole video looking at what this means, if you're not sure about the energy price freeze, do check that out, and the article that comes with it as well. That because a lot of this is dealing with private firms, then they can get these things through much quicker than having to legislate. But there's still going to be we don't know how it's going to be paid for. There will be an emergency budget or a fiscal statement at some point. Won't be next week. Maybe it will be the week after. We all know the Bank of England announcement has been pushed back a week. Maybe it will be following the funeral, which is on Monday the 19th. I think that's been confirmed now. So that's the thing. That's why I guess my concern is that there may be this sort of very tight period we have before the 1st of October, before all the different political parties go on conference season and they disappear again. They only just come back and they disappear again. That could be one of the big issues there. Right, guys. Sorry about that little bit. I had a choke in there. I do apologise for that. Right. Nash says, what are your views on Cygnus cash solutions? My financial advisor is suggesting I do this through him with my savings rather than put it into an easy access savings account. I do not know what Cygnus cash solutions is. I would certainly do a huge amount of research there. If you have a regulated financial advisor, as long as they are regulated, then there should be some comeuppance if they give you bad advice. But yeah, this does not sound like, I don't know what it is, but if it certainly doesn't sound like a, it's difficult for me to say because I don't know what it is, effectively what I'm saying. But just do double check your financial advisor is qualified. They are regulated by the FCA, all this kind of stuff. Doesn't mean they're going to be any good what they're saying, but who knows? And it depends what you want from your money, how much money you've got as well. I certainly would say that if it's the same, if it's some sort of thing the same about an easy access savings account, then I can't see how that would win, but it could be a very different thing. Bit of a weird one there, but thanks for asking the question. Sorry I can't really help you massively on that one. James says, I recently moved home and signed up to a fixed rate on my electric, £121 per month for a one-bed flat. Do you know when the unit rate and details for the price freeze are expected? No, it will be, as I say, one of the things I think is going to get sort of caught up in the Queen's death is how quickly the energy companies can get this information out to us, because they're still trying to work out what it means themselves. Although it sounds like they were in conversation with the incoming government, the incoming team, to make this kind of work, there's still a lot to kind of work out and sort out. So that stuff will still be done, I guess, in the background. Some companies might be faster than others when they know what that will be. But so to say, as you're fixed, it also does seem to be suggested by Martin Lewis. He tweeted this, but a few other places they picked up on that, reported this as well. I don't think there's been full confirmation yet. If you are on a fix, you will either be given a discount, an equivalent discount, so you are not paying more than the cap. If you had fixed a rate that was higher than the cap, obviously you fixed at a rate that was lower, you won't pay more. Or maybe you'll be able to exit it without any charges. And I think a couple of the large companies said already that if you want to go to our variable deal, you want to fix, we will let you do that. We won't charge you for that. I would wait. There's no massive rush on this right now, but we'll get information over the next sort of week or so, I would say. How are we doing on time? 10 past. We've got plenty of time. Loads of time. Fantastic. UK Clark Kent. How do you know if banks will see you as a previous customer if you want to switch to them again to pick up their incentives? How do you know if they will see you? They will have data on you. They will have a huge amount of data on you as a customer. When you sign up to them, you will be giving them permission to keep that data. A lot of it will be stuff they might have to get rid of when you stop being their customer, but they'll know who you are. They have information about how you used to bank with them, all those kind of things. So that may well be something. It's probably more likely to be around credit cards and lending, that they might use that information. But then when you do apply for something again, they often will look at your application form, and often that same information you're putting in there, things like your salary and stuff. None of that's in your credit report, things like your salary. In terms of if you've been to them and switched away, they'll also have a sense of how long you were a customer for. So they may well have restrictions on how quickly you can come back, which is why in my video, an article I did about dummy switching accounts, is the idea that you set up an account and use it just for switching. I suggest maybe the best thing to do is to set up an additional account with a bank you're already with, who you're going to stay with. So the ESL you had an account and you switched away, but you're already a customer. It doesn't reflect you coming back to them. Whereas if you want to go to a bank and then you switch away and then go back to them to get the rewards, they might be like, hang on, is this guy just taking the mickey here? Are they going to come in, go out, come and go? So they will have that information, absolutely. Celestial Elixir, hello. Hi, Andy. I have decided to open a second Halifax reward account myself. The second opened fine, but the third was declined. Will the rejections show on my credit report, even though they don't hard credit check? So, interesting one there. Why they declined you a third one. This is a, you might, if you watch these videos on a regular basis, or since one of my banking updates talked about it just last weekend, I think it was. This is where Halifax are changing the rules on the 1st of November that you can have 3 reward current accounts. Previously, the rule had been 1 personal and 1 joint. Now you can have 3 from the 1st of November. However, it seems you can open up more now. So you can have multiple accounts now. People have done it and they're getting the rewards coming through. I've got 2. I haven't got around to doing the 3rd one yet, but it does seem to work. And on my credit report, there was no hard search for that additional account. There wasn't even a soft search for it because they've got the data. They know who I am. They're making a decision about whether they will give me this additional account. On that basis, if that is the case for you as well, if the search does not appear on your credit report, then rejecting you for this additional account will not make a difference either. Because it's got to appear on the credit report to make any kind of difference. Now, so again, keep an eye on your credit reports. There are 3 free ways to do this. Again, video and article with more information on the YouTube and on the blog, which take you through those places. So keep an eye on them. Often these free ones, they don't update on a daily basis. They update on a 30-day rolling thing. So depending when it last updated for you, you might have to wait 30 days to double check that. But just keep an eye and maybe sort of pause on any other applications till that's come through. But I think it's unlikely that that is going to be the case. So Francie says, what's the best way to save money? Thanks. My money is in the bank at the moment. So the best, I think by best way, I assume you mean here, what is the best place effectively? And this kind of goes back to a little bit what I was saying earlier on about how you need that money, how you're going to use it. I think in all instances, it makes sense to keep your savings separate to your normal current account, your normal spending account, because otherwise it's very difficult to know, hang on, what's the money I've got for the bills? What's the money I've got maybe left for going out? What's the money that I'm actually putting aside for the holiday? What's the money that's in my emergency fund? It can all get confusing, all get wrapped up in there. So I absolutely would split it out. Now, some current accounts do allow you to have these separate savings pots and spaces. Starling, Monzo, and Chase in particular are quite good for this. However, I would potentially look at having them in different accounts because that also gives you a bit of a backup if something goes wrong. If you can't get into your banking app for whatever reason, don't worry, you can get hold of your money via the other account elsewhere. And this is again assuming that it's easy access. If some of it, as I said before, you do want to lock away or put some notice on it, you might get a higher rate. But bear in mind there, if you are doing a notice account or a fixed account, as I said before, there is always a chance that if rates increase elsewhere, and we do expect that to be happening, that maybe you could be running out, you could be losing out a long time. It's a difficult one to merge, to work out really. I certainly wouldn't fix for more than a year. 6 months maybe, if the rate's good enough, that might be appealing. Again, it's up to everyone, individual choices and circumstances. So Deb Chaston says, hi Andy, why are ISA interest rates lower than regular savings accounts? So regular savings accounts broadly are going to be amongst the high-end paying ones. It's not always the case because there are instances right now where there are easy access accounts better than regular savings accounts. But the best regular savings accounts right now, if you've got the the loyalty one from Yorkshire Building Society, that's 5%, but you have to have been with that Building Society for a year to get that, so not everyone's going to be able to get that. 5%, that's fantastic. If you have a nationwide one, that's 3% recently, got up to that. The NatWest one goes up tomorrow to 3.82%. The First Direct one is 3.5%. Way better than what you're going to see in an easy access ISA. Best one there, around 1.75%. It's just the nature of regular savers. They tend to pay more. And what you've also got to remember with regular savers is you've only got a small amount of money you're putting in there. So you put some cash in, but that money, that interest, you won't get it for the full year. I haven't got time to explain it all here, but if you are confused about regular savers, again, check out the article and the video that I've written about them and filmed about those, and they will hopefully explain it, make it a bit easier for you. So what else have we got going on here? Robert says, go back to the Halifax reward account, a second one of these, do you get a second debit card? Yes, you do. And they've kind of sexed it up a little bit now, as all the banks are doing. All the details are on the back. So that's one of the changes you might have if you've had one of those reward accounts for a long time. You will get an extra debit card. And that's useful because you need to spend £500 on that debit card every single month to get that £5 reward or that free cinema ticket. Rich from Mitch says, Andy, I set up a Monzo Plus, Plum and a Moneybox. I think you mean do you mean a Monzo Plus account or a Monzo and Plum and Moneybox? Just did the switch to First Direct and got £175. Can I now switch right away to Santander? I feel like I'll get told off. So, with all these deals, check the terms and conditions. Does it say you must stay with this bank for X amount of time? If it doesn't, or that time has passed, then absolutely you can switch away as soon as you've got the money. Some of the banks sometimes pay the money really fast, like before the switches even happen. In those cases, I would always wait until the switches happen because if for some reason it messes up the switch or switches to happen, they might want to claim the money back. In this instance, if you've got the money from First Direct, that would suggest that you've done all the stuff, they're happy with that, then absolutely you can switch straight away. Just bear in mind, there will be an impact on your credit score because you are opening a new account and closing another account. So that will have an impact, particularly if you've done that very recently with the other, opening the First Direct and switching to it. Shouldn't be a huge issue. Well, once again, I've got a whole video and article explaining you more about this, so do check that one out. And like I said, when I keep talking about these articles and videos, in the website, becomyourcash.com search box, just type in there what you're doing. And if you're on YouTube, you can look at all my videos and you can search within that on my channel. Or again, you can just go into the search box on YouTube, type in the topic and put Andy Clever Cash, and the video should hopefully come up quite high up the rankings. You'd imagine if you put my name in, it'll be at the top, but you never know with YouTube and algorithms. But that's where you'll find that information. How are we doing here? Right, 20 minutes and still so many questions to go. Carl said, what's the best money transfer credit card? So these deals change on a regular basis. I would have a look at some comparison sites and just check what's going on there, later ones. But what I would say when you're choosing a balance transfer credit card, money transfer credit card, actually, right, your question about money transfer credit cards, we'll do balance transfer credit cards later if we've got time. There are only a handful of them, but the things you have to take into account here are, is it up to on the length of time? because how important is the time you've got for that? The time you want, actually this is true for balance transfer as well. Time can be really, really important, how long you get this deal at 0%. But you also need to look at the fee. Now, there aren't many money transfer credit cards, and the fees are all roughly around the same thing. So what I would say here is you do an eligibility search, you see which one you're most likely to get. That's the best one for you, probably. With balance transfer credit cards, it's slightly more complicated because it's a much larger market. You may have a better chance of getting accepted to quite a few. I would say there, again, if you can clear your balance transfer in a shorter amount of time, then you might be paying no fee at all for that transfer, which is fantastic. And there's around 20, 21 months right now, which is really, really good. Money transfers, again, there's only a handful of them, but comparison site, do an eligibility search first of all, and then choose from there. Okay, I'm sure I missed one up here. Let's just double check. Fayette says, any incoming offers, Andy, from RBS regarding switching accounts? Nothing at the moment, nothing last week. You'd imagine if they are going to launch anything, it is going to be held back by a week. I don't know, but I think most brands, you just see it with no commercials on telly or on the radio. I would imagine that in the next week there's going to be very, very little new activity of things coming on. Maybe savings accounts are still bubbling around, but I don't think we'll necessarily see any new switching offers. I might be wrong. If I am wrong, don't worry, I'll update you on the blog. Make sure you hit subscribe. BeCleverYourCash.com/newsletter. That comes out every Thursday. So you won't, if you're not following me every single day or checking every day, you will get the roundup of everything I've done in your inbox every single Thursday. And it's free, it won't cost you anything. So sign up for that if you haven't already. But I would expect if we get any new switching deals, we're looking at after the 19th. That would be my instinct on that anyway. Abdallah says, hi Andy, hope you're well. Thank you. I am having that little choky throat there. Can I ask what's the best savings high interest right now? I'll refer you back to what I said earlier on, Abdallah. BeCleverYourCash.com/savings. That's where I daily update the best buy tables, easy access, 1-year fixes, notice accounts, regular savers. They're the best place to check, and you can choose what's best for your money at those highest rates. On the top of my head, easy access is 2.1% right now. Philip says, I was accepted for a nationwide student account with the full 1K overdraft for the first year. Is there any way I should use my overdraft to guarantee I get the maximum overdraft again next year? Really good question, Philip. I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that because that is something, an internal thing that Nationwide will be looking at there. I imagine that it's based on your credit report, which as a student is going to be very, very thin. And it will be maybe looking based on what your spending has been like, whether they think you need it. If you have used the whole overdraft, I mean, there's part of you that goes logically, they might want to give you the full overdraft again, but they also might not want to because they might go, oh God, well, this person's already spent, we really want them to have the full $3,000 after 3 years, but why would they offer that if they weren't willing to give it? So I'm afraid I can't give you any concrete answer there, but what I would say is just because you got that 1K, well, that's great. Don't necessarily spend it. This is about using it if you need to use it, not just because you have it. Budget. It's a boring thing at any age, let alone when you're a student for the first time leaving home. But make sure you're spending the money you can afford, and that $1,000 is going to last you the full 12 months. That it's not all gone by Christmas. But congratulations, good luck with that. I'm sure you'll be starting very, very soon. So I hope you have a fantastic year. James says, hi Andy, what are your thoughts on Zopa savings? They seem to be offering very competitive savings rates. Are they reputable? There's always someone asking me about Zopa. I do sometimes wonder, I'm sure James, you're absolutely legit. I do sometimes wonder whether they put people in just to make me talk about Zopa every week. But it does give very good rates. Right now, 1.81%. That, and you can start with £1, whereas the ones that are a bit better than that, they have a minimum, a higher minimum in terms of your savings. So you might not be able to have those ones. It has an app, which although I've not used it, people who have used it are quite happy with it, quite easy to move the money around. Some nice little features in terms of if you give 7 days notice, you get slightly more interest. Likewise, 30 days notice, even a bit more, and you can portion those out. So by all intents and purposes, yeah, I think go for it. If you're looking for a high paying savings account, why not go for that? Give that one because it is one of the better ones right now. Just bear in mind that the current speculation is the interest rate will go up by 0.75 percentage points in a week and a half. That would be massive. That would bring us to a 3% rate overall. That's a lot to pass on. And I wonder whether we will see a big increase there from lots of banks. Maybe not immediately. It might take a few weeks after that. But you open up Zopa, great, but just be prepared that maybe they won't be one of the best paying rates, best paying accounts in a month's time. But again, that is probably true of any account you could pick right now. So if you don't do anything, then your money's sitting in an account paying nothing, then you're losing out. So don't necessarily wait, just get on with it. But give them a go. Yeah. What else got going on? Hi to all of you guys. let's go back here. We've got about 5 minutes or so. Art Dine says, what do you think about the John Lewis transfer from HSBC to NewDay? Apparently many people have had problems. Yeah, so I'm going to touch on this in the video on Tuesday evening, which will be my credit card update. I'm going to talk about some Sainsbury's bank changes and Amazon credit card changes as well. But the John Lewis one, I think, has been handled relatively badly. Now, I appreciate they are changing from a different supplier to a different, new credit card company. So therefore, there will be different tests in place. They don't want to just take this whole necessarily take all the customers over, because some of them might not be people they want to lend to. But I have absolutely heard, as I'm sure as you're referring to here, are some people who have been with had a John Lewis partnership credit card for a long time being rejected or having a lower credit limit. And although it's not going to be always the case, it would not surprising to know that if a lot of the John Lewis customer-based partnership card customer base is older, and it may well be that it's harder for them to then get a credit card elsewhere because they are no longer working. They might be retired, the income might be down. So that taking that away, the old card, but then not giving them an easier ride on the new card could absolutely be seen as unfair. I either missed it or not had my letter coming through yet about applying for the new card. I'm at odds of whether I'm going to bother with it. Yes, it's good for shopping at John Lewis and Waitrose, but I don't shop at John Lewis very rarely, if I do. And Waitrose, what I'm generally doing is using those monies offer that happens most months. You get 20% off gift cards, so that saved me a huge chunk there, much better than getting 1.25% back. So maybe you might be better off just looking at, if you're not sure about that transfer, whether you want to apply for the new card under NewDay rather than HSBC, maybe just look for a different credit card. Doesn't seem to be any kind of extra advantage as an existing customer for you. So that would be my take on that. Motton says, hi Andy, if you do all the bank switches, will it eventually be possible to take advantage of them again in a few years' time? Yes, you can, sometimes. So I've been able to do Halifax twice, I think Lloyd's twice, have I done NatWest twice? I think I've done, not sure. But basically, it does seem to be that the threshold where you can't have got your money before on many of the switching deals keeps moving. And often it comes around after 2 or 3 years that you're eligible again. Not always, and things can always change. But yeah, it's definitely worth looking out for that. And if you're an existing customer, you can get it. I will always say in my analysis of the deals, whether you had the cash before or not, or whether you can only get it if you're brand new, never had the account. So do keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I get excited by that when you can do that. More money, you think you run out of more, then more money comes along. Laura Randa says, how are we doing? Lots of questions. Okay, I'll try and be quick on these next few. Can you speak a little bit about the 1 year fix when BLME 3.4%? Their website doesn't seem to be working. And do you think a better offer will come along, like better interest? So yes, it's very difficult to talk about all the different savings provided because there are so many of them. When I list them in the Best Buy accounts, it's very important they are FSCS regulated, Financial Service Compensation Scheme regulated. So they are covered by that £85,000 protection if the bank was to go bust. But then in terms of which ones are best after that, unfortunately, I think a lot of time you've got to give it a go and see what you think. What's the interface like? Is there an app? If you want an app, is it any good? Are there notice periods? Are there customer service any good? I mean, how often you need to talk to someone from customer service for savings accounts? Rare, but you might need to. So maybe before you go into a fix, you might want to try the app, try these things for an easy access account. Just open it up, see what that's like. Now, if the app website isn't working, again, that might be a sign that this isn't for you right now. But as I said before, we're expecting another increase to base rate very, very soon. Now, you could look at fixes and say they're already predicting this because in a year's time, they're working where you're going to be, which is why they are so much higher than easy accesses and why maybe there's not such a difference in 2 years and 3 years. They're looking at just in a 12-month period. But you would expect in a couple of months, we will see more coming along. And there was a 3.5% paying account for a week or so, which ended, I think, on Wednesday. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them trickling up a little bit again. And if you're not comfortable with somewhere, just go for the next breakdown. It's not going to be too much difference in the long term if it makes you happier with that customer service. Oh, goodness, sorry, guys. Ashwin said, we're going to run out. I'm not going to have a chance to do all of these. If I haven't answered your question, go to becleveryourcash.com/community. This will take you through to the Facebook group. Facebook group is fantastic. I'm sure many of you are already in there, and it's an amazing place. I love how much you guys are getting involved and helping everybody out. And obviously, when I can, I'll answer the questions. But I get so many questions, it's literally impossible for me to answer even a tenth of them, let alone every single one of them. Join the group, ask a question in there. I'll try and help. I will be able to pitch in with you. So if I haven't answered these questions, very sorry about that. Or, of course, you can make sure you join me again on the next one of these lives. If you're here at the beginning, I'm saying most likely to answer your questions if you are there, sort of bang on when it starts. Haven't got an exact date for that one, but it'll be in a couple of weeks' time, 2.5 weeks, something like that. I will put the details of that obviously in the newsletter and share it on Instagram and Twitter and all those kind of places as well. And on that, it is 7:30. I think I will have to call it a day because I don't think I'll probably have to answer any of these very, very, very quickly at all. I can answer this one. Rory, do you plan on making any videos about best life home insurance? No, I won't. I might talk about principles of insurance, but I won't be going into detail on that because, again, it's not my speciality. Because there are so many policies. That's why there are people who do that as a profession, because they will know much more about all the different ins and outs of those places. I can just give you broader guidance on those kind of things. But with insurance, when you look at different places, just make sure you're getting the cover you need. It's very easy to look at the cheap things and go, I'll go for that. But it might be cheap because it doesn't give you insurance that you need if something was to go wrong. So do check those things out. Right, guys, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Sorry, again, it was I haven't got through half of these. I do apologise, but we'll be 2.5 weeks. I'll be back or ask from the community. All right, guys, see you very soon.